Hey, Julie, yes, Mark had a lot of exciting announcements today. We're so happy to be here. Thanks for having us here, by the way. So tell our audience a little bit about, in a short way if you can, because there was a lot going on, about some of the announcements you guys made.
So the main thing that we talked about today is making it so that you can take your website and make it so that your users have their friends there with you without any friction, right? People don't have to sign in. We announced a set of tools that are going to make it very easy for people to just click once on a like button that they like a piece of content or that they like something on your site and share it with all of their friends all across the web. So we think that that's going to really boost engagement on all these websites for our partners and boost distribution and help them get new users because people will be sharing with their friends. And this is all super easy to integrate, requires no coding at all, and anyone can do it.
And this is a coders conference, you guys, developers here, so I'm getting to know all about HTML coding. Okay, so let me ask you here, one of the things that you mentioned there was kind of this like thing, right?
Yeah.
So you have 30 partners so far. One of them was ESPN. How does it work? Like, do you guys go to them and ask them, hey, do you want to do this? Do they come to you and say, hey, we really want to work with you, let's figure out how? How does that work?
Well, we talked with a few partners for this conference, but anyone out there who's building a website can go to our developer site, developers.facebook.com, and can get, it's just a single line of HTML that you put inside your website, and you can put a like button there. And what that allows you to do is any of your users can now go and just click once to share something with all of their friends from your site.
So I guess my question being, what's the goal? Like, what's the goal for you guys? Why would you want to do this? Obviously, it increases engagement for the other people's website, but why do you guys want to do it? What's in it for Facebook?
Well, I mean, our mission is to make the world more open and connected. We want to help people share stuff with their friends and express all the stuff that they like. So doing this outside of Facebook.com itself is a very important goal for us. By working with other companies, that furthers it. It makes it so that every other website out there can easily just make it so that people can share stuff with their friends, which is really good for those sites as well, because now their information is spread throughout the web, and it gets more distribution and engagement, more growth for all the partner sites.
One of the other things you guys announced today was kind of the friend activity plugin, right? So where basically you'd be able to see what your friends are doing on all these different sites, recommendations. It's awesome. But the question being, and I'm a Facebook user, you're a Facebook user, how do you think that privacy is going to play into it? Do you think it's going to be a bigger issue as you continue to introduce more of these things?
So this is an important part of how this works. Is actually no information is transferred to CNN. And the example that I gave, I showed how the activity feed worked at CNN, but this could be with any partner. Facebook serves these plugins themselves. So if you're a partner, you just go, you take the single line of HTML code, put it on your website. Now you can have instant social functionality. But Facebook is actually serving that directly to people themselves. So you can have social functionality on your site without anyone outside of the person and their friends ever knowing about it.
I guess my question is, when you look at all these exciting things that you guys are introducing, and there's so many of them, do you think that as y'all introduce more, that privacy will be a bigger issue that you think than it has been in the past? I mean, that's a reality, right? I mean, do you think about that?
Well, the information isn't being shared more widely than it was before. People are using Facebook and these tools to share things with their friends, right? That's what you want to do. You want to take a news article that you read that you thought was awesome and show it with to all your friends. And we just want to make that possible. And what we're doing here, we built some technology that makes it so that we can do that on these different sites,
you guys are
but without actually sharing it, but without actually showing who you are or that you like this information to anyone other than you were already saying that you like that. So this really, we take privacy very seriously. It's a really important thing for us. And this means that your information is not shared with anyone else that it wasn't shared with the day before. So that's a lot of the magic in the technology that we built.
I like when you say that, the magic in the technology, right? This is people here, because people get very excited here. The other thing that you talked about was kind of search for the developers, right? So you mentioned there are 400 million users on Facebook. There are 25 billion things that they're posting every time. I mean, that is massive information. And you guys introduced a search specifically for the developers. How is that going to be used, do you think? How do you think they'll use that? And to explain to our audience, it's so that they can actually search for their company and see what people are saying about it. I mean, and it's only for public information, not for your private setting. But how do you think that's going to be used? How do you...
Well, I think a lot of the great thing about bringing all these developers together is that people come up with really creative things that we would have never thought of. But, you know, I mean, for example, on a news site, you could imagine something where they just use this to show what are all the posts that that mention, you know, the title of the news story, right? So if it's a news story about Obama, for example, like what are people saying about Obama now on Facebook? And in order to put that on your site, it's just one line of code, and you can just copy and paste it from Facebook. So it's so simple to do.
And it's so great for them. But again, I go back to the idea of how does it help you guys? Like, how, and not obviously. I mean, the bottom line I'm getting to, right, is how do you guys make money off of that? You know,
well,
I mean.
People come to Facebook.com every day, right? We have more than 400 million users, and more than 50% of them go to Facebook every day because that's, for a lot of them, the hub of their social interactions. But people spend more of their time on the internet in the sum of the other things that they do than just on Facebook. So we really want to make it possible for them to have these social interactions everywhere that they go. And if they can do that and they can use their friends and Facebook everywhere they go, that just makes it better for everyone.
And
it makes it better for those websites. It makes it better for Facebook. Yeah, it's...
We got Facebook on everything. Okay, let me ask you, because you mentioned some of the numbers. One of the things that you said is it took three years to reach 100 million people in mobile. It took much longer for that online. So mobile is growing hugely right now. You said last year it grew 5 times. Do you see that trend continuing?
Yeah, it keeps on accelerating. I mean, it's going to be a big trend.
Do you see it with that kind of exponential growth, like 5 times more and 5 times more?
Yeah, it keeps on growing incredibly quickly. I mean, our mobile growth rate is faster than our web growth rate, which is faster than it's ever been before. It's 400 million users and growing extremely quickly. I mean, in a few years, I think mobile will be bigger than the web in terms of page views. So it makes sense that it's growing like this.
And do you think the location-based stuff, and do you think that that's going to continue to grow as web-based? I mean, do you guys have plans to expand that in your platform?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't announce anything today around places or location, but one of the things that people want to do with their mobile devices is share with their friends where they are so that they can more easily coordinate and hook up and do different things like that. And yeah, we're going to work with other folks to make that easier, both through the developer platform that we have and through products that we build ourselves.
You mentioned working with other people. One of the other things that you guys announced today was a partnership with Microsoft. The Docs, .docs, I believe is what it's called.
Docs.com.
And basically, wow. So basically, it allows you to work on a project on Microsoft, and then we could send it to you on Facebook, and you can work on it. How did that partnership come about? I mean, did you guys go to Microsoft and say, hey, we're thinking about this? Or did they come to you and say, hey, we want to work with you? What do we do?
Well, we have a great dialogue with Microsoft. We've been working with them on a lot of different things over the years, including search and ads and a bunch of different things. So this was really just a natural extension of a lot of the conversations that we've been having. But the core of it for us is that Microsoft is just such a trusted company. I mean, they're routinely at the top of one of the most trusted brands in the world. So when we're testing out new functionality, it really makes sense for us to work with them on it. It's something that people all over the world trust.
Do you see these types of partnerships growing? So, for instance, do you see yourselves, you guys going to Google and to Apple and really working on this? Or do you guys talk to them about more projects like Docs?
Well, I mean, we hope to. Facebook is really a partnership, and it's a platform company, right? We have there are more than 1 million people around the world who develop using Facebook platforms. So there are all the big guys, and we're interested in working with them on the interesting stuff that they're doing. But we're also really excited about enabling these really simple use cases in anyone around the world. You know, college students, hobbyist developers, anyone who's looking to start a company.
Hobbyist developers?
Yeah, I mean, that's people who aren't building a company but are building really cool things,
okay, I was going to say, I've never heard that word before.
Yeah, I mean, just build things really easily. So that's a lot of what we're really excited about for today, is that now with just, you can copy and paste one line of code into your website and make it really social.
Clear.
But that's the thing that I'm really excited about.
I know, and it's definitely, I mean, we're excited to be able to share this with our audience. I want to mention at the beginning you talked about credits, and you said, you know, you're focused on scaling the systems right now. My question with that is are you happy with the success you've seen so far with the credits? I mean, do you feel like it's significant for Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's interesting because when we built our ad system, we started from really nothing, right? I mean, there were no ads in the system, and we built it from the ground up. We're building credits, but there are already millions of dollars of transactions flowing through Facebook applications every day. So the first step for us is just going to be to build out a system that's good just for handling what's already happening on the platform, and then we can talk about extending it and opening it up after that. So that's the phase that we're in right now, and we're really excited with how it's going.
And do you think that it will become eventually kind of a really important core part of the revenue from Facebook?
Well, we'll see. I mean, ads tend to be a higher margin thing. So a lot of the reason why we're doing this is honestly to make it a lot better for developers. And we're investing a lot in credits, but we don't expect to make a lot of money off of it for a long time. The reason why this is good is because like a lot of developers monetize their applications through people buying things. And this is going to make it easier for people to go and buy things in every application, because now there's just going to be one currency that people use. So we're really excited about that because we think it's going to enable developers to build things really easily.
What drives you, Mark, like day to day? I mean, you know, everybody knows who you are. You have to make all these decisions with a big company. Obviously, you guys are making a lot of money. I mean, that's what the Valley, everybody in the Valley knows that. So outside of that, what drives you to keep doing this stuff?
You know, I mean, my whole life, I've always just thought that if you can make the world more open and transparent and connected, that all these different things would get better. And, you know, each year we explore a few more of those things, but that's just really what excites me. I think that's one of the core trends of our generation is just there's all this more information available and all these things are possible because of technology. I think it's a really exciting time to be doing this stuff.
Well, it's exciting, but it's also, I mean, you're building this whole new business category around it, really, right? I mean, this is social media. You are setting the standard to a large extent of how this business is built. So, I mean, do you see, you know, for instance, this year, are you going to do much better from a revenue standpoint? I mean, how does this work out?
Yeah, it's growing really quickly. I mean, we're really happy with how it's growing, but our goal for the next few years is primarily just to serve as many people as we can. I mean, 400 million people are using Facebook now, but we think that that's going to be a lot more, right?
What do you think it'll be at the end of 2010?
I mean, it's honestly, it's harder to predict on a 1-year time frame than it is on a 5-year time frame, but...
Why?
I mean, because I think that there are macro trends in the world. I mean, I think everyone wants to connect with their friends and family, right? So whether we end up being the service that everyone uses to do that, or there's someone else, we think that that's going to end up being something that everyone uses. And we currently like our position in doing that. But our goal is also to make it so that every website is social, right? And that means working with even more developers to create more value in what they're doing. And we want to build a world-class ad network. And, you know, and we're already on our way to doing that on Facebook.
One of the things that you also mentioned in your presentation was that you want to make the Facebook platform simpler, and especially to lower the friction, right? So that people don't have to keep signing into things. What is the benefit, again, of doing that from a volume? Like, obviously it gives volume to the developer side, but what's the benefit to you guys?
Well, I think the benefit is that if it's easier to use, people don't have to spend as much time doing it. So our partners can spend more time building their core business. But also, I mean, more people are going to be willing to do something that's easy to do than that's hard to do. So if we want to make it so that the whole web can have these great social experiences, then one of the ways to do that is going to be to make it really easy for partners to integrate it.
Last question, I promise here, and that is all these new things that you guys are introducing. Do you see at any point, you're growing very organically, you haven't done many acquisitions to grow all these different areas. Do you see that as a strategy in the future, or are you going to continue to keep it like you're doing now, introducing these types of things?
So far, we've bought a few companies, but they've actually all been to get really great people. So, I mean, Brett Taylor, who runs our platform products, came to us through an acquisition that we did, a very small one. And, you know, a big part of what we do is just attract the best engineers and product developers around. You know, and some of them are building their own companies. A lot of them come to us organically through friends or just want to work at a great place like Facebook. But that's a really big part of building a company, is making a culture where awesome people want to work. So yeah, we're gonna keep focusing on that for sure.
So it's more important to get the talent for you than the actual types of companies?
So far it has been, yeah.
Very cool. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. With that, guys, I'm going to send it back to you.